on the app and streaming at fancredsports.com/on-air. Each week, we're going to be bringing you the latest news in Major League Baseball. A lot going on in the offseason. And this is our last show of 2018. So please join us. Any questions that you have, please leave in the comment section. Or what we would love is if you're watching us on the app, go to the top right corner. It says Fan Line. Click on that. It'll bring you into a green screen room with our producer. And then you can come live, jump on, chat with John and I, and we'll have a good time. So lots of questions to get to. Start coming with them right now. But John, first of all, how are you doing?
All good. All good. Things are heating up now.
Things are heating
up. Get busy. The signings have been pretty slow.
Yeah.
Guys have gotten good money, but still got about 75% of the free agents still out there as we approach Christmas, and that's a lot. It's about like last year, except the deals are pretty good, the ones that have been done so far for the players.
Some of the moves that have been done, but first I want to start about some of the moves that maybe are holding up the free agent market. Obviously, everyone is wondering about Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, but Real Muto is on there as well. So let's start with JT. What are the odds of him signing anytime soon, and where do you see him ending up?
I'm glad you asked an easy one first. Signing anytime soon, 0. He's not going to sign with the Marlins. That ship has sailed. We're not going back to the Marlins. So I would say 99% to be traded. I guess they could wait into the season or spring training, but they've been talking to a lot of teams. Obviously, the Mets now have gotten Wilson Ramos. We still have probably 7 or 8 teams in the mix for JT Realmuto, including the Astros, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, the Braves. Yankees have been mentioned, though they say they love Sanchez, so don't know about that. Reds, Rays, if I haven't said those two, but at least a half dozen teams on JT Realmuto, who is, I think, the best catcher in baseball, at least all around. Obviously, Yadi Molina, fantastic defensively. Sal Perez, fantastic defensively, but you're talking offense, running, everything all around. Right now, Realmuto is the best in the game.
Wasn't there one point where, like, every team was in on him?
It appears that way. It seems that way. Some guys are just very popular. I mean, in the free agent market, it felt like every team was in on Marwin Gonzalez at one point. We'll see where he goes. It's hard to predict. Someone wants to predict that. They're a better man than I am. But, it could be any team that Marwin Gonzalez can fit in. Realmuto is an upgrade for just about any team.
We'll get to a couple of the other guys, but first we're going to go to Steven in New York. He is on the fan line, and he has a question about the reliever market. Steven, welcome. I hear you. What's up?
Hey, John. How you guys doing?
Good to see you again.
Be back again. So how does the Andrew Miller potential signing, and I'm going to use the word potential because it's not agreed upon yet, how does that signing affect Zach Britton and the rest of the reliever market? Because I know the Phillies were in on Miller and a couple of teams were in on. Where does this leave Zach Britton and the rest of the relievers on the market?
Yeah, I mean, somebody like Zach Britton is going to have places to go. Obviously, he had a solid year last year, not as good as that year where he was the best reliever in the game, but really good. And, he's going to have options, different places to close potentially. Miller, St. Louis and Philadelphia were the two most prominent for both of them. And so Philly's still out there, and Philly knows Britton. All of their executives were in Baltimore when Britton was a top draft pick, and they like him very much. At this point, I'm almost going to be surprised if Britton doesn't end up with Philly. I know the Yankees still have some interest. Other teams would like a reliever. The Mets want a lefty reliever, but I don't think they're shopping at that arena. It's pretty high right now. But I'm going to say St. Louis and Philly were the two teams. Miller is going to wind up in St. Louis. That's going to happen. And I do think that Britton, Philly would make a lot of sense.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steven. Happy holidays. So obviously big questions about Harper and Machado. I'm not going to make you give me a timeline because I know that we just don't know. I mean, who knows? A lot of questions coming in the comments. Sal was asking, what do you see for Machado? Mike saying, hey, John, what's the latest on Harper Machado? How much longer are we carrying this on? So what's the latest? What are you hearing now in the front of those two guys?
Well, in terms of the timeline, I don't usually like to talk about a timeline because I really don't know unless I'm involved in negotiations, but it feels like we're a ways away, and my indications are that Machado will be after the new year, and I think Harper will wait until after Machado signs. It seems that way. Machado had his tour. Those are the three teams that we know about, the White Sox, the Phillies, and the Yankees. We heard about mystery teams. I can't identify the mystery team. That doesn't mean the mystery team doesn't exist, but my understanding is that the tour, or at least this tour, consists of three teams, the White Sox, the Phillies, and the Yankees. The Phillies went today, so we will see how that went. I'm hearing good things about the Yankee meeting, and I would play the Yankees as a slight favorite at this point because we've heard all along that Manny Machado wants to be in New York. In fact, I've heard from several people, and as I wrote on FanQuit today, that he wanted to be in New York or Boston. Well, Boston's not going to do it. Obviously, they've got other things that they're concerned about. They have a shortstop. They have a young third baseman they're happy with. It's not going to work with Boston. So, to me, I think the Yankees have a very good chance. And I think he's one of those guys who may sign for a team that isn't the highest bidder. I think that's a rarity. We'll see if that happens because I do believe that one of those other two teams, the Phillies or the White Sox, will outbid the Yankees in this endeavor at this point. They seem like they are ready to spend more. The indications are Yankees are not going to go to $300 million. I'm not sure how close they're going to get to $300 million, but obviously they're going to make a big, big offer to him. And, he wants to be in New York and he's comfortable there. And I think he may do it. But of course, caveat, a lot of guys go for the top dollar. I don't blame them. You got to go whatever makes you happy. We saw Robinson Cano take the best offer in Seattle. We saw Pujols take the best offer in Anaheim or Los Angeles, whatever you want to call it. I think that was a mistake. I think he should have taken less money and stay in St. Louis, but his prerogative to take the big offer. And obviously Alex Rodriguez, with his first signing, he took the best offer as well in Texas Rangers. So you can't rule out taking the best offer, but I'm still going to make the Yankees a slight favorite for Manny Machado.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Yonder Alonso's wife? There's a relationship there, right?
Yes. Yonder Alonso's sister is married to Manny Machado, right?
People were saying maybe they brought him over to the White Sox to try to lure Manny in there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any maybe about that. Of course, they're going to say it's a baseball trade, but, you trade for the guy's brother-in-law 2 days before you're meeting with him. I mean, you could have traded for anybody else in baseball. And I think Yonder Alonso, they feel he's a better defender than Abreu. They feel he fits his team. Didn't hurt them in any way. But, of course, it can't just be a coincidence. They traded for his brother-in-law 2 days before the meeting. So we're not buying that it was only a baseball trade. It could have been a baseball trade. That's fine. They may like Alonso. Terrific. But, they're giving it every shot they got. Just like the Yankees just hired Carlos Beltran. Beltran, not his brother-in-law. No relation to Manny Machado. In fact, not even from the same country. But the Yankees hired Beltran, and he had the same agent, Dan Lozano, at least at the end of his career. And they have that connection. So everybody's doing whatever they can, it seems like, to lure Machado. And when I say everybody, I'm just talking about the three teams that we think are involved.
But still, family ties. All right, we have Hugh in Pauling, who is on the fan line. He has a question about the Yankees. Our first Yankees question of the evening. Hugh.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, good to see you again. How are you?
You.
Yeah, I called last week, too. How are you doing?
Oh, we remember.
Yeah. Feared. You got to fear it, No, I'm kidding. My question was, with Manny having his meeting last night, I was just watching on Yes Network that Jack Curry had reported that he thought that the meeting went well, but he also said that the Yankees might be willing to stretch it to 8-year deal, but not go to, like you said, the $300 million, and that the Phillies might blow it by $50 to $70 million and offer the 10 years. So I don't know if he's going to leave money on the table. You really don't really see that, but I think that him wanting to be Yankees is a serious thing, and by all means, they said that the meeting seemed to go well from what he said and his body language and, all that stuff that goes on. But my question also, too, was, do you think that they're waiting to see how this works out to determine whether they're going to go after bullpen arms or, because it's limbo a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees are interested in a bullpen arm. I think they have talked about Britton. There are some other bullpen arms out there. I think Machado is their main focus right now. I doubt that'll happen before the new year is up. I don't think the Phillies, and, obviously Jack Curry works at the Yes Network, so his Yankee sources are probably very good, but I don't see the Phillies blowing them away by 75 or 100 million. I know the owner said we could spend stupid money, but nobody wants to spend 75 or 100 million more than another team, particularly the Yankees. So, they're going to try to spend whatever it will do to get Machado. And, I think that the Phillies also have their eye on Harper, right? So they have another player that they could go for if they don't get Machado. So, I'm not sure that they're going to go crazy on Machado. And that's why I would make the Yankees the slight favorite. But, yes, we've detailed that Machado is not going to get $300 million from the Yankees. It will likely be something like an 8-year deal, something in that range, something below $300 million.
Yeah,
and not $299 either.
Yeah,
or $298.
Do you think if per se let's say they did miss out on signing, do you think that they would actually try to make a run at someone like Marwin Gonzalez? Because I feel like I know he is going to want to get a good amount of money, but I feel like for what the Yankees need right now, they need some left-handed hitting, and plus he plays all over the field, and he can play the whole infield and the outfield.
Right. Yeah, Marwin would be a good fit for the Yankees or anybody else. As we've mentioned a few times on the show, almost anybody would take Marwin Gonzalez. I'd heard at one point everybody but St. Louis was in on Marwin Gonzalez. So he certainly does fit the Yankees. They're going to need to get an infielder. The other shortstop names that are mentioned, or infield names that are mentioned, are not great hitters. They're more defenders. Like Galvis, Echeverria, Escobar. There's 3 or 4 guys out there that fit that category of mostly defender. And, the Yankees like to get a hitter. They can use Gleyber Torres at shortstop, so Marwin Gonzalez could play second. He could even do some third. He could basically play anywhere. He can play some short, too. But the fact the Yankees have Torres gives them that option to look at second base. We know they've talked to Josh Harrison as well, who's out there. LeMahieu could fit. He's a good second baseman. But Marwin Gonzalez fits the best, probably.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Ralph in the comments was following up on basically what we were just talking about. He said, if no Machado or Harper for the Yankees, now no Murphy, what do they do? So I think Yankees fans are stressing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get an infielder. I mean, that's been clear from the start. We said that at the GM meetings. They're going to look at Machado, and if they don't get Machado, they'll have to get a different middle infielder. So there are a bunch of second basemen out there that are pretty darn good players that they can look at, Marwin and LeMahieu and Lowry. In terms of shortstops, you would just get defense. And, they had Echeverria last year. He did a nice job, but you're not getting any offense out of him, or, frankly, Galvis or Iglesias, another guy who's out there.
Trevor in Illinois has a Cubs question. He is on the fan line. Trevor with the Cubbies. Trevor? Is Trevor?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Trevor, what's
Trevor.
up?
Hey, I called in last week about AT.
Of course we remember Trevor. I mean, come on.
This week, I was wondering, I know Scott Boras and Bryce Harper have been pretty quiet this week. I was wondering what the latest on him is.
That's an excellent question. That market's a little more mysterious. Machado is out there, even though Machado said in November, I'm not going to do a tour. It's not going to be public. It's a tour. It's all public. We know the 3 teams, and I don't think there are another team. So we basically have what's going on with Machado. Harper, much more mysterious. I think some of the same teams, though. We do know that he met with the White Sox at some point. It sounds like he met with several teams. Don't know who the other teams are. Phillies would be interested in Harper. So far, the Yankees are not going that way. I could see the Cardinals. There's been a lot of speculation about the Dodgers. There's been speculation about the Cubs, but right now there isn't much smoke to the Cubs rumors with Harper. So I'd put them as a long shot right now. If that's the team that you're interested in, I would say it's an outside chance on Harper. I would say Cardinals more likely, Dodgers more likely, White Sox more likely, Phillies more likely. And, I don't think we've heard the last word from the Nats. They offered $300 million at one point. They may get back in the ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, I know with, especially the money that the Cubs have spent the last few years, it's really hurt their chances to get him. So yeah, my second question would be like, what would be the market with the Cubs and Harper?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to stay below the threshold, and that's what they did when they brought Hamels back. And were able to get Hamels back by trading Smiley and staying below the threshold. Miraculously, they have been able to stay below the threshold. I'm personally not sure why the Cubs need to be below the threshold every year. I mean, I guess it's a nice goal if you're the owner, but their revenues are extremely high, and they are exploding as we speak. They've done a nice job revamping the stadium and the surrounding area, and they're doing fantastic. So, I wouldn't rule it out. They certainly can't afford to go above the threshold. They have not been a team that's gone over. So their tax will not be very high if they go over. So I wouldn't rule them out, but they're being very quiet about it at this point. That doesn't mean they're not getting them, but that's why we're saying an outside chance.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, I was going to ask Trevor where he thought that.
Well, he had the big C on his hat.
No, I mean, you might want him to go to the Cubs, but maybe he's a realist and says no.
Yeah. Well, Trevor may have some inside information. You never know.
He watches this show every week, which
well, then he just bringing back what I've already said. But I think Trevor's pretty sharp. He may be ahead of me on this one.
Yeah, he might know things. Sal in the comments said, "Hi, John. What big moves could you see the Padres making?"
Padres, well, they've been connected to Dallas Keuchel. That would be an interesting one. They did step out last year and sign Eric Hosmer. I think they are anxious to win. They've kind of targeted 2020 as the year that they're going to win, and Fernando Tatis, will be certainly ready by 2020. Terrific prospect for them, and they've got a very good prospect stash, but it doesn't look like they're going to be ready to win 2019. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a star. We know they've been connected to Syndergaard. They've been connected to Real Muto, but Syndergaard seems to me to be unrealistic. It'd be more realistic for me if they were to go out and get a free agent. So I'm not going to rule out Keuchel for the Padres.
All right. We have Chris in Ontario. He has a question about the Blue Jays, and he will be joining us on the fan line. Ontario in the house. Hello, Chris.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Earlier this week, Mark Shapiro said that the Blue Jays are basically going to wait out the market on people. What kind of starting pitcher do you see them going after?
Well, there's plenty of starters available. Now they are starting to sign, and they're getting pretty good deals. It seems like teams are realizing the value of starters. Anibal Sanchez got a surprisingly good deal at 2 years and $19 million. Matt Harvey did not turn out to be cheap at $11 million. Cahill, $9 million plus incentives, also with Harvey incentives. So these guys are doing okay. He may be trying to wait it out to get a bargain. I'm not sure you're going to find a bargain on the free agent starting pitching market. There's a few left. I think they've been tied to Kikuchi. I know there are 10 teams involved there. He may want to wind up on the West Coast. They may be something of a long shot in that regard. There are other starters available, Gio Gonzalez, Wade Miley. There are a few out there, but, unless you're willing to spend for Keuchel or somehow beat out those teams on the West for Kikuchi, you're going to have to settle for a middle-of-the-rotation starter.
Right. Or maybe could they go a trade route?
I think that's always possible. I mean, I haven't seen them connected to Sonny Gray. That's been mostly National League teams, the Reds and the Padres being two of the teams connected to Sonny Gray at this point. Not a lot of starting pitchers out there. I mean, I don't think Syndergaard's going to be traded. Obviously, he came up or was a Blue Jay prospect at one time. I'm sure they'd love to have him, but I'm not sure he fits their timetable. I don't know that they're expecting to compete for the title this year. So, I'm not necessarily looking for any big, bold moves out of the Blue Jays just yet.
All right. Thanks, John.
I love that we have Canada joining us. That's awesome. There was a question that you were just talking about big, bold moves. Jeff in the comments said, do you think the Mets will make any more big, bold moves?
Well, they're kind of hinting that they probably won't. We know they've been tied to A.J. Pollock, the center fielder. We know they're looking for a lefty reliever. Miller is going to be gone to St. Louis. I doubt they'll spend for Britton. That's going to be quite an outlay of cash. They've really improved the bullpen already, obviously with Diaz and Familia. So I think they're going to go lesser in the bullpen. They need a lefty there. It's possible they will look at the infield as well. Frazier decreased a little bit his production last year, so they've been tied to Moustakas a little bit. They've been tied to Marwin Gonzalez a little bit, so they could look there. It would be helpful to have a guy who could play third and maybe some first, too, because Peter Alonso is going to be given a chance at first, but he certainly is a question mark. So center field and corner infield are still something to look at for the Mets, as well as left-handed relief pitcher.
A lot of questions still coming in about Machado and Harper. James wants to know any word on how the meetings went with these guys. I mean, would you even get the inside scoop on that?
Well, I heard that the Yankee meeting went well, that they were impressed. Manny Machado is a charming guy, and I doubt he tried to kick anybody's ankle or do anything untoward at the meeting.
Probably not the best move.
The smart guy, he's a charming guy. I'm sure the meeting went fine. His wife, I think University of Miami person, is a very smart young lady. So I'm sure that any meeting is going to go pretty well. Everybody's going to put their best foot forward, and this is a guy that should be able to do that with relative ease, I think. The meeting is probably going to go as well as the offer goes, probably in the eyes of the person. So, that's just life. Although I do think Machado, Miamian, who played in Baltimore, for whatever reason, does like New York. His sometime mentor, Alex Rodriguez, was a Yankee. He's still tied to the Yankees. I don't believe he was at the meeting, though. As I said, Carlos Beltran was at the meeting. He also played for the Yankees and works for the Yankees. So, I have a feeling that he'd like to go to New York. But, obviously Philly and the White Sox are going to put their best foot forward. And we know Jerry Reinsdorf has had some superstars. Most of them are basketball players, but he's had superstars and dealt with them well. I'm sure that he would be quite impressive in a meeting and put the best foot forward. But the issue, I think, with the White Sox is that, they're not going to win for at least another year or 2 years. So if you sign up with the White Sox, you're not winning, whether your brother-in-law is there or not. And no matter how good a defensive player your brother-in-law is, they don't have a rotation that's going to allow you to win in the next year or two. I think they're doing a fine job with their rebuild. They're going to be good eventually, but normally, if you have a chance to go to a winning team or a team that has a chance to win, you'd probably take that chance and go for the winning team.
We have Will in North Carolina. He is on the fan line. I don't know what his question's about, so this one should be interesting.
I'm a little nervous about this.
Will? Is it my husband? No?
Oh, I was Will before. Will's good. Yeah, he's a friend.
We love Will.
Where did it go?
I'm in Florida for vacation, by the way.
Oh, what part?
Boca Raton.
You're right down the street from me.
No way, that's fun.
Yeah. We could have been doing the show together.
Stop by. You should stop and invite him over.
Than me by a mile.
All right, well, what do you got?
2 things. Happy holidays to both of you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And also, if Machado per se goes to the Yankees, if Harper goes to the Phillies, do you see them being the team to beat in the National League? And also, I know this is distant future, but does Mike Trout need to lead the Angels to potentially get to the playoffs and win a World Series?
Okay, well, for now, I'm going to say the Dodgers are probably the team to beat. They've won 2 years in a row. They're going to come back with virtually the same team. We'll see about them and Harper. Obviously, the NL East is tough. So even if they add Harper, they have a tough gauntlet to run in the NL East. Washington's very good. They've made some very good moves. The Mets are improved. So the Atlanta, we know they were the champion of the NL East. NL East is tough. They may beat each other up a bit. And right now, some of those teams in the NL West are kind of taking a breather. So I got to make the Dodgers the favorite in the NL West. And what was your other question, Will? I've lost track here.
In the future, do you think that Trout needs to lead the Angels
Oh, well, I don't think I'm not going to say anybody needs to leave. Obviously they've only been to one playoff series there. They're not going to be the favorite this year. He's got 2 years to go. The Angels are going to make a run this winter if they haven't already to try to lock him up. I think the fact that he's already signed up once for 6 years makes it probably difficult for him to commit. I've heard he likes it there, but he is a Philly guy. He's from South Jersey, but people tell me that South Jersey is basically Philly. So, if they don't get Harper, even if they do, Philly is logical for Trout. Because,
what about Ohtani? Do you think Ohtani would still stay with the Angels no matter what?
Well, Ohtani is tied to the Angels. He came over not as a free agent, really. I mean, not a full free agent. He is tied to the rules where he is a regular player who's now a 1+ player, and he's got 5 more years where the Angels have control. So that will not be up to him. He wanted to play in MLB so badly that he took this deal, and that's it. He's an Angel.
And
Will, enjoy Boca. Thank you for joining us each week. We're gonna miss you, but we'll chat with you in the 20.
Well, he may be stopping over later. I mean, you don't know.
I'm seriously 10 minutes from Boca. I'm right there. Camilo is very concerned about the text messages that you are getting right now.
Well, I'm getting some text messages, and most of them are notices that I have typos in my column. So, Cam, I think you better get to work on that. That's really my fault, though. I send in 3,000, 5,000 words, whatever it is. And, if you have 2 typos, that's all anybody notices. So, it happens. I'll get back to Cam later on that one. But no news regarding anything other than typos in my column to this point. Other than Miller is going to sign with the Cardinals.
Yeah, there we go. All right. What in the world is happening in the world of baseball? John's getting texts. What's going on? Lots of concern there. So let's go with Anthony. Oh, by the way, Hilson says your column is amazing. So
thank you, Hilson. Yes, Hilson is an expert. He's a prodigy, a 15-year-old prodigy. Oh,
you know who Hilson is?
I know Hilson. Yes, he's a baseball prodigy. 15.
Do you have fans that come on here and just pump you up?
Hilson, I believe, is a coworker. I don't think he's a fan. He's actually in the fan cred family. So
Hilson, great. That's so
nice.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do we have child labor laws? I'm not sure, but he's
Hilson.
He's 15, and so I don't really know. We're not making him do any heavy lifting or anything like that. It's stuff that he wants to do. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, let's not get into any legal trouble here on Fan Cred.
Not publicly. No, I probably shouldn't.
Anthony
says, he's a very nice young boy who always likes to help out.
That's awesome. Good for you, Hilson. Anthony said, any Twins updates? Cruz, Encarnacion, Cody Allen. What are you hearing?
Cody Allen makes sense. Derek Falvey, their team president, came from Cleveland. He certainly has a relationship with Cody Allen. That wouldn't surprise me. I think Lavelle Neal from the Minneapolis Star first mentioned that. And they are looking for a hitter. There are a lot of teams looking for a DH. I think Nelson Cruz as a free agent is going to be able to have his pick. And to me, if you can go to Houston and, be on one of the best teams, I don't want to say the best team. Obviously, Boston was the best team this year, but one of the best 2 or 3 teams, you have a good chance to be picking Houston. Encarnacion is a guy who's going to be traded. He's on Seattle, but you know that Jerry DePoto's getting a little itchy. He hasn't made a trade for over 3 days now. So you know that Encarnacion will be traded somewhere. Tampa's a potential possibility there. Houston and Minnesota, as he said. And we thought Colorado, but Daniel Murphy is going to Colorado. So that will solve their issue at first base.
Jeremy said, what is the Astros' next move?
Well, I do think Cruz is a very strong possibility for the Astros. Their lineup looks really good right now. Cruz has, I believe, hit more home runs than anybody over the last 10 years. I think it's 368 home runs, something like that. I think he's the only one who's hit 35 or more home runs the last 5 years. So I think he would make sense for the Astros.
I like this. Linda starting some drama. She said Catherine Veritek tweeted a cryptic tweet that the Yanks-Sox rivalry just got hot. What does she know?
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm not. I don't really keep up on the wife. Is this the ex-wife or a wife? I don't know.
This is his wife.
It is his current wife?
Yes, she's
okay.
Beautiful and wonderful.
Does Jason Veritek know what's going on with Machado? I don't know why he would.
I don't know.
To me, Machado is in Philly right now, right? So we've slipped away to a payphone. I just keep my cell phone. We've slipped. I'm showing my age. We've slipped away and called the Yankees and set up. I think that would be unusual and probably uncool. I think he's with the Phillies today, and that would surprise me if he's already leaving the Yankees. But as I said, I think the Yankees have an inside track here.
Maybe I need to send her a text and see what she knows, because she might have some goods for us. Arnold in the comments said, if Sonny Gray is paired with a prospect and offered to the Braves, can the Yankees get Camargo and someone else in the trade?
Possible. Camargo, I think, makes sense as a potential trade person now. So they say they're going to keep him as a utility guy, and he is able and willing to play a bunch of different places. That nice year for them last year. So I'm actually probably unlikely. More likely, traded for prospects. That seems to be the asking price. I know they're talking to the Reds, the Braves, the Padres. Certainly a lot of teams have been on Sonny Gray. They believe that he'll leave once he leaves New York. So he'll get traded. I think it'll be for prospects. Probably pitching prospects.
Amit says the Braves willing to spend. Phillies, Mets ready to brawl, but Braves think they're set. Kimbrel, Robertson, Britton, Warren, ?
For the Braves?
For the Braves.
Yeah, I don't know. People was shot down to me. That's what made sense. He was so great there. From Alabama. He loved it there. It makes sense. Kimball's a mystery right now. He's got a mystery. One of the great relievers of all time. That's a tough one. I'm not sure where he's going. It doesn't seem like anybody wants to be a reliever. I don't know that's the problem of his particular him. I have injury issues that are serious, and it doesn't seem like teams want to go to the 6 years that he was originally asking for. My understanding is he's looking for about $95 million. He's now down to about $85 million. That's kind of where it is right now. So I think the Red Sox ultimately may sign Kimball back. That's probably be my guess.
Keep these questions coming in. Feel free to join us on the fan line. Nelson in the comments, are the Giants still trading Madison Bumgarner? Is that still an option?
I don't think so. I think that'd be very unlikely. I think he'll be traded at the July deadline. To me, he'll have just as much value then, or even greater value as a pitcher.
You just mentioned Red Sox and Kimbrel. There's questions here about the Red Sox closer situation. So do you think? I mean, is Kimbrel the answer there, or we're gonna get John back momentarily? But until then, who has a question for me?
Oh, there you are.
There you are. I was like, I'll start answering questions.
You can do it. I do it.
I mean, I don't know if anyone wants my opinion on these, but
I think they would be happy to hear that.
Maybe. So more about the reliever situation in Boston. So, I mean, Kimbrel potentially going back there. What else are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most likely. I have not. Obviously, Miller is going to St. Louis. I have not written with them. Robertson, I think for them as a potential. He's lives in Rhode Island. He's kind of made clear he wants to play in the Northeast. So I think that's a possibility. If not, they may go with Barnes or Brazier. Both hard throwers. And I have heard that they like Brazier very much. And came out of nowhere, but them last year.
Ralph had a question about the new Cuban Major League Baseball deal. And that's something that I'm also very interested in. So can you explain that to us? And he also wanted to know, does a player have to be 25 years old to come to the States?
Yeah, not that I know of in that case. I think that they've opened it up now so they don't have to do smuggling, and I think that's a great idea for MLB. The only issue is now how will the Trump administration react to it. I think MLB feels confident that it's going to be okay. Certainly the Trump administration is going to have to look into it and satisfy all the constituencies, but I think they're going to be okay. And anything that prevents smuggling of players and keeps it open, I think, is an improvement.
Absolutely. Camilo, who was asking about your texts, also said, are the Yankees set on their rotation, or are they still willing to make a trade?
Well, they're always willing to make a trade, but I think it's unlikely once you have 5 solid guys as they do. They also have Jordan Montgomery. Let's not forget him. Potential coming back. So they have a lot. They have depth right now. They're pretty solid. I wouldn't say spectacular. I think they're a better rotation. Their rotation is solid, and middle infield is their main concern. Bullpen the second concern.
Let's go over to some of the trades that have happened, deals that you have reported on. Matt Harvey and Trevor Cahill to the Angels. Why do you think that is a good situation?
Well, obviously starter. It's interesting to see with the Angels. They've never been able to keep guys healthy. And it's they needed to get somebody. They obviously tried earlier for half, and tried for Corbin. They tried for others, and eventually they got 2 guys who probably maybe will take starters at this point. But you have Mike Trout on the team, you got a shot. That's what I would say.
If you have Mike Trout, you have a shot. John Heyman's quote of this.
He's good.
That's what I like to think. Just want to remind everyone to please send in these questions. Come and join us on the fan line. Who doesn't want to chat with John and I right now? I think that we should make that happen. All right. Michael Brantley to the Astros. Thoughts on that one?
Michael Brantley, another great hitter. They don't strike out much. They just got a guy who does not strike out at all. So I think that good move for them. The last 2 teams that won the World Series were teams that avoided the strikeouts from ball and play. The Red Sox last year. Astros have been good for a few years. Brantley was, I think, third best in baseball, not striking out. Henderson Simmons is top, but in the top 3. So, you know what? I'm being told to refresh my window, and we're going to try it, and I'll be back in 1 minute, okay?
Okay, not a problem. So until then, we could have a dance break. We could talk about baseball, whatever questions that you have. Doesn't need to always be baseball related. So keep them rolling in. I could answer whatever you need. But please ask questions. And if you're on the app, go to the top right corner and hit that fan line button. Again, that'll bring you to a green screen room. You will chat with our producer, Cam. He is great. And Joe wants to have a dance party. So, I mean, you can come on the fan line and have a dance party if you'd like. Who's my team? Steve is asking who's my team. So, I grew up as a fan of New York sports, only because my parents are from Brooklyn. But working for the Red Sox in 2012 and 2013, it is 100% I am a Red Sox fan. Also, whoever my husband is playing for, I love that team as well. So I have a couple different alliances, but really it's Red Sox, I would say, is number 1. Jeff asking, what's your thoughts on free agency so far? Jeff, also my father's name, might be my dad. Not sure if he's on right now. It's interesting. I think it's always, you think everything's kind of a slow process until you get to the point where the big moves happen. Everyone's waiting on Machado. Everyone's waiting on Harper. But so far, so good. I think we're all looking forward to when those big names are set in stone so we can stop the wonder of it all. But it's exciting so far. Mike, is Will still with the Phillies? Will is currently a free agent. For people that don't know, Will Middlebrooks, my husband. He was with the Phillies on a 1-year deal last year, but got hurt in spring training. So he is rehabbing and getting ready to go in spring training. So we're hoping that he gets an opportunity to play with that other team this year. He loves Philadelphia. So this has been fun. I think John's going to join us shortly. What's the most surprising offseason move so far? Ooh, that's a good question. Most surprising? I don't know if there's been any moves that have been super surprising yet. I mean, I like the Yonder Alonso move to the White Sox just because I feel like it creates some drama. John, we don't even need you.
I'm very good.
Yeah, we don't even need you. I would say that's a fun one. All right. We're getting back to chatting with you about real stuff. I had some great questions rolling in though.
Yeah, I'm sure you made great points too.
Oh, winning points, that's for sure. Let's talk some more about deals that were done. Why does the Wilson Ramos to the Mets deal make sense to you?
They needed a catcher. Obviously, they weren't able to get him. They liked the offensive Ramos, and that's why they did that. They considered Grandal as well, but Grandal, I think he's going to get 4 years. Or he's going to get 4 years somewhere else. So Mets were not willing to go there.
A lot of questions about the relief market and what's going on with that. It almost seems like it's weakening. So do you feel like there's signals that Kimbrel may be dropping the high end of his deal goal? Like at this point, I mean, what are your thoughts on just where Kimbrel stands?
You know what? I don't blame Kimbrel because you know what? We saw that Chapman got $80 million. We saw that Jansen got $80 million. So you would aim a little higher if you're him. I think he's still only around 30, close to 30. It made sense to do that. I've heard that he's had to drop the price from 96 to 86 or thereabouts. It seems like he still thinks that's high. But you know what? He is the best reliever on the market. He obviously hurt himself. Even though he had a perfect postseason in terms of save percentage, he had a couple of shaky outings, and looked at it, and I guess they got to me, the guy's had a fantastic career. Someone's going to get a bargain. Not going to be a major bargain. I still think he's going to get at least 4 years. We will see. But, I just think Evaldi in the postseason probably made himself $30 million. Kimbrel may have cost himself $20 million in the postseason. Even though, as I said, he was perfect in the saves.
It's crazy to think about how, I mean, we've always talked about Manny Machado's postseason and how that might have affected him. It's crazy how you look at a grand scheme of things and one little section can just change the outcome. This is going to be our last question of the night, which means it's the last question of 2018 for John and I on Inside Baseball, and it's from Phil. And he wants to know, is Ottavino next to move in the reliever market?
Yeah, I mean, I think that potentially is the next guy. I don't think there's any question about that. I think he's been looking closely at things. I do think the Yankees are a potential to Ottavino. Like Roberts is more likely for Boston than the Yankees, although I wouldn't rule him out. But I do think Ottavino would work. It makes sense. I think that's the order we're probably looking at. I think that the big star, the biggest star, or at least the guy with the big track record, Kimbrel is probably going to have to wait. But to me, Ottavino has been fantastic. The guy has great stuff, heady player, made sure that he would not repeat what happened to him in 2017. He just had a fantastic off season. So I give Ottavino credit. I think it's going to get a big deal somewhere, whether it's the Yankees or somewhere else. But I do think whoever asked that question is probably onto something. I think we'll look at him as potentially coming up soon.
Phil's a very smart man. And John, so are you. We want to thank everyone that's watching for joining us in 2018 on Inside Baseball Live. We really hope to be back with you all in 2019. Stay tuned to FanCred to find out where we'll be and when we'll be back and all of John's answers. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy Thursday, and we'll see you next year.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Happy holidays.